Before we proceed with the exciting announcement of the new head coach of the Winnipeg Football Club, I would like to formally acknowledge that Joe Mack will continue in his role as General Manager of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Over the past month, I have done a complete review of our football operations department, which includes the General Manager position. Let me begin by saying no one at the Winnipeg Football Club is pleased with our record and our results this year. From the players, coaches, management, and the board, a 5-12 record to date is not and will not be the standard for this organization going forward. As I reviewed our talent, spoke with knowledgeable football people, spent time with our coaches, and reviewed the game plan for getting us back to the Grey Cup, I became convinced that we do have a strong core of people in place and to get the job done. We will need to further strengthen our core for sure. Indeed, we need to make decisions about our future, but those won't be announced today. Remember, less than a year ago, this team finished in first place, and it was our first time in 10 years that happened. And we also appeared in the Grey Cup game. While our 2012 record is disappointing, our young players should give us all hope and the expectation for greater success next year. Virtually all of our nominees for team awards this year are Joe Mack players, and most of them are rookies. Chris Matthews should be a lock for Rookie of the Year. Alex Hall was leading the league in sacks before he was hurt. Chad Simpson, our team's most valuable player, has been called the best running back in the league by many media people and by a lot of CFL players across the league. Plus, this is the first time in 12 years a CFL team has been led in both receiving and rushing by first-year players. I believe this speaks volumes to the direction that Joe Mack has us headed in. In closing, what ultimately sealed my decision was that I am just not ready to dismantle this organization and start over from scratch. In business as in sports, success comes when you have stability in the leadership position. Joe Mack, Tim Burke have the respect and confidence of their players and staff. These men are committed to winning and will be held accountable to excellence on and off the field, as will I. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Butchko. At this time, I'd like to call upon the Vice President and General Manager of Football Operations, Mr. Joe Mack.
First of all, I'd like to thank all the media and everybody for showing up for this event. I'd also like to acknowledge our players and staff for being here in support. Obviously, it's been a very trying year for us. From Tim, myself, and the players, we were disappointed, obviously, in the record. But having acknowledged that, I think we also have to be cognizant of the fact that there are a lot of hurdles and bumps in the road that we had endured this year. Obviously, one of the most trying for us was the game in Calgary, where unfortunately we didn't measure up to the standards that we hold day in and day out. Having said that, though, it would have been very easy for our team and our coaching staff just to crumble. I truly believe that adversity reveals character. And we had that very trying game in Calgary where our players and coaching staff were very disappointed in the outcome, obviously. They come back and have a resounding victory against Hamilton. In the next 6 games, we've continued to improve in every facet of our play. We're 3-3, which although we'd like to be better, we were in every game. We had major victories at Montreal and at Toronto, which were division leaders. We were capable in the other 2 games of winning also. This despite the fact that we had numerous injuries to our starting quarterback, to all of our running backs, to our starting defensive ends. The team continued to compete. All these factors and the way that Tim, along with the rest of the staff, were able to maintain a sense of integrity, professionalism, and competitiveness convinced me, along with the fact that Coach Burke has, I believe, a strong feeling of enthusiasm and respect within the locker room. All these led me to believe that Tim Burke was justified in becoming the 29th head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Tim Burke.
Thank you. I just want to say thanks to Joe for having confidence in me, and Garth and the board of directors. I just want to say thanks to my wife, who happens to be here today, and she doesn't want me to introduce her. So, but she's been extremely supportive in my life, and you know, we live apart a lot of the year, but she's been extremely important in my life, and I couldn't be doing this without her. I have to say that about our assistant coaches as well, and their wives. They put up a lot of time with their kids without their husbands for 6 months out of the year, and they do a tremendous job. They have great devotion to their husbands and to their professions. This is a dream come true for me. I related this story to the players during the course of the year. I grew up in in the state of Iowa. I was living in Homestead, Iowa, which was a town of 100 people. And I don't know, it was probably about when I was 6, 7 years old, but my grandparents had a color TV, which not very many people did at that time, which obviously dates me. And for you players, there was no such thing as a transistor back then. So there was no electronics. And anyway, so just to make a long story short, I remember Bear Bryant prowling up and down the sideline. He was the head coach at the University of Alabama, for those of you who don't know. And I just thought to myself, that's what I want to be someday. When I'm done playing, I want to be a coach, and someday I want to be a head coach. So for me, this is a dream come true. The next thing I'd like to say is my first goal is to win this game this week. And it will always be our goal, is to win the game that we are going to play that week. It's not to look ahead at anything else. But with that in mind, obviously when the season's over, we've got a lot of decisions to make. But again, as I told the team this morning, we're going to get back to the Grey Cup with the vast majority of the players on this team. They're going to get us there just like they got us there last year. Now, we've had a lot of great rookies come in this year and show what they can do. So with the guys that we had last year, plus the rookies this year, I think we have a very strong foundation, and we have to clean up some of the details in order to get back to the Grey Cup. But I think we have the players to get it done. I believe in them. They believe in themselves. And I know we're going to be back in the Grey Cup soon. So with that, I'll hand it back to Darren.
Thank you, Coach Burke, and on behalf of our entire organization, congratulations.